ViewSonic, the heart of your system.
When it comes to special edition Radiant cards, they don't come around too often, but this time PowerColor have released their limited edition 5700 XT Liquid Devil. Hence the name. The Liquid Devil comes pre-installed with a full cover EK water block specifically designed for this custom card. I'll touch base a little bit more on that later, and make sure you hang around as I'll be doing a full custom build with this card. But first I want to quickly go over the packaging and what's inside. Now I don't often cover the unboxings, but I feel PowerColor have really done a good job here. I guess a similar experience would be kinda like the ASRock X570 Aqua. We have this fold up blue and black box with this embossed devil logo and font. Once inside you'll find a large cardboard poster, and on the other side a full detailed list of all the specs and so on. Under that there's 3 compartments, one containing 2 stop fittings and an Allen wrench, another compartment containing driver CD, a Devil Club card, and a quick installation guide for those who may be doing a custom loop for the first time. The last compartment houses an EK die pack with 3 different colours, red, yellow and blue, and yes, the colours on screen you're seeing are from this pack. And lastly, under this we have the card itself wrapped in an anti-static bag. But before I jump over to the card, PowerColor did mention that whoever purchases a Liquid Devil can enter their card's serial number to receive 10% off any items on the EK online web store. Now back to the card, and I guess the main advantage for going with a card like this is having the block pre-installed. Not everyone wants to tackle their own water block installation, as it can be quite daunting for the first time or two. PowerColor also claim only the best 5700 XT silicon is being used for the Liquid Devil lineup. One of the first things you'll notice is just how small this card is. I appreciate how PowerColor haven't just grabbed a reference PCB and slapped on a water block. This card is very short, coming in at 240mm, while compared to a reference 5700 XT coming in at 270mm. Being water cooled, the card physically takes up 1 slot, but strangely enough PowerColor has kept a 2-slot IO on the card. This could have easily been 1 slot as the IO allows for it. The card is powered by dual 8-pin power, and at the other end of the card is a BIOS switch for OC or Unleash BIOS. In the Unleash mode the card will run up to 270 watts, and in the OC mode the card will limit to around 230 watts. The Liquid Devil's overall design is clean and nothing over the top. I guess in saying that, this all comes down to the block. The underside of the block is all black with some triangular abstract, while a raised silver Liquid Devil logo can be found. I find this a nice touch as it gives some depth to the card rather than just being a sticker. Taking a look under the block, you'll find direct contact on the VRM, memory and GPU itself. This block is nickel plated copper, which has an acrylic cover on top. The side of the card has a pretty standard terminal from EK with nothing out of the ordinary. Oh, and there's the RGB, which lights up most of the block as well as the terminal. This can all be controlled via the Devil Zone software. On the top side of the card is a full cover backplate which carries over the design from the other side, but just one thing to note, that none of the backplate comes in contact with the card to act as extra cooling. A closer look at the card, and the Liquid Devil runs a 10-phase VRM, 8GB of GDDR6 with a memory clock of 14GB, 256 stream processors and a max clock of 2070 MHz. Display outputs include 3 DisplayPort 1.4 and 1 HDMI 2.0B port. So that's most of the card there. I think now we'll check out the build, and then after that we'll take a look at some benchmarks. it comes to price, you're looking at about 699 US dollars, or that equates to 1,050 Australian dollars, which does put it as the most expensive 5700 XT on the market. Mainly, most of that you are paying extra for the pre-installed water block. You are getting the water block included, and you are getting that custom PCB, which is much smaller as well, which is why I tried to do more of a compact build. In saying that, this isn't the smallest build I could have done. I could have gone much smaller, but I was sent this case and I wanted to do that whole EK build with this chassis. Now, in terms of the performance figures, they were actually a bit better than what I thought. I didn't test 4K. I could have done 4K, and you probably would have seen a little bit further extension over the reference card again from what I tested. Now, you have to remember, with a lot of AMD cards, you kind of get to that wall and you just can't get any further. Unlike NVIDIA, you've got a little bit more leeway to push your cards further and further. So you just want to keep that in mind. Now, one other sort of thing I mentioned earlier was the single slot I/O. I really wished they would have pushed it out on this card. This is it's a single slot card, but does take up the double I/O on the back. Not a huge deal for someone, but that would have been sweet if they could have done that. And also another area I wanted to sort of just mention, which I mentioned earlier, was the select binning for these cards. So the silicon on here is going to be better than what you find on, say, a reference card. Now, with the sort of card out of the way, I wanted to cover a lot on this build. Now, I did do a time-lapse video. A lot of people really did love it. There's been a lot of feedback, a lot of positive feedback. There's nothing really I sort of gauged out of the comments from the YouTube time-lapse except for the tubing. Every single person, or every second person, was asking what tubing I used. Now, this is a sort of a matte or matte frosted or satin tubing, whichever you like to call it. I like to call it a frosted tubing. It is from AliExpress. It is the Bixby brand. EK don't do it yet, but I really do wish more manufacturers would start doing it. Now, the reason why I went with the frosted here is I wanted to try and create that contrast with the front being a sort of an acrylic clear, real shiny effect, and I wanted to bring that contrast into the interior of the chassis and sort of dull that down a bit. So I wanted to have the frosted tubing, and that contrasts really well with the blue coolant. Now, the blue coolant may be looking a little bit lighter on film, but it is a little bit darker in real life. And then apart from that, if you are wondering what this chassis is, it is the good old Inwin 303, but it does have the extension of the new EK panel. It is on the EK website. It's called the 303 EK, and it does come with this front distro plate included, and it comes with the pump down the bottom as well. Although their sort of marketing material, they only have a slim rad up the top. I managed to fit a PE 360 at the bottom and up the top as well, because I kind of thought putting one slim 360 to power a 3800X and this video card was going to be a bit tight, so I wanted a bit more headroom with those two radiators. And then of course you've got the Liquid Devil video card. As I said, it still has plenty of room in this case. I could have gone much smaller. And then apart from that, I wanted to do a little bit more work on this case. I didn't want to do anything too crazy. Like, I was actually sent this card just to do a video on it. I decided to do a whole build, theme it up a bit, and then do a review. When it comes to my review, I guess you're probably not going to be coming to this video just to see all the performance figures and so on this video card. If you want a high-end depth review on video cards, no doubt hit up Steve from Hardware Unboxed. He is the king of doing that, and he will have all the details. I guess if you're coming to me, you're really going to see how this card looks in a themed build, or just see how it looks being water cooled, because I think a lot of the reviewers were just throwing it on a test bench and getting their bench results. So I wanted to go and sort of showcase this, and what I did was I actually got some laser cutout bits from some aluminum. I got the Liquid Devil logo on next to the motherboard tray, and also on the back I got the huge logo as well. Someone mentioned about the font. They would have chosen a different font. Well, that font is actually from the box of the video card. So that is the PowerColor font that has been chosen. So I just wanted to replicate that. I wasn't going to make up my own font and so on. And then I guess the only other bit to the right of the motherboard, I did add a whole cover panel. In a lot of these Inwin cases, they do have a lot of SSD bays, trays, a lot of random holes, a lot of cutouts. So I just wanted to clean that up. That's just a solid piece of, I think, 3mm aluminum. It is vinyl wrapped. It's got a hole cut out for the 24 pin, and then it's just mounted with a few screws, and that just really cleans up that area, and I do that on a lot of my builds. The memory for the builder is the G.Skill Trident Z Neo. That does look really good. It contrasted well because I could set the nice vibrant blue, and then it also had the black and grey on the heat spreaders. And of course the rest of the cooling is all EK. They did pitch in and sponsor this build. So we got the torque fittings, and you may have noticed I do have the blue rings. Now these aren't the stock blue rings that you can add on these torque fittings. They were a little bit too light blue. So once again, I've done this before. I just cut little strips of vinyl. Once I take the collar off, I just put a little strip of vinyl on exactly where the torque ring would screw in, that colored ring, and then you just put the cap back on and it looks exactly the same. And that just gives me some flexibility. I can choose a lot more different colors. I can choose any vinyl I want, so that can get me my blues, my copper colors, anything I want that EK doesn't offer. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cables are cable mod, pro sleeved of course. I did have some actual ones that had the blue anodized combs on there, but unfortunately they have been delayed in shipping, just like a lot of things coming out of China and so on. There have been some delays, so I just had to push forward and use some cables that I already had. But anyway, I want to wrap this video up. I do want to thank PowerColor for reaching out to me. This is the first time I've worked with them. I just had a random email come up, so I'm really appreciative of receiving that. And in terms of the card, it is a beast little card. I have had this system up. I'll probably keep this up for a while. I've been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare quite a bit on it. It's just been hammering through. So it is a decent little card. I guess if you're not really if you're not into water cooling, I guess this card isn't going to be for you for anyway. But it's for those who want to dive into water cooling and aren't really comfortable on pulling their video card apart. They just want a solution that is ready to go. This is the card for you. I want to thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one.